So here we are. I've just taken delivery of this beautiful E39. Even the delivery driver said it was a beautiful car, so that's always a good sign. It's in a right state. It hasn't run for at least 5 years. By all accounts, the engine is running. And as you can see, the interior is in a pretty damp and mucky state. It smells of damp. So really could do with, yeah, a good clean and valet. Here the battery's disconnected. I'm just going to reconnect that because by all accounts the car is running. No visible signs of rust on the wheel arches or any of the usual places, but obviously we need to get the car on a lift to determine how bad the problem is. It failed an MOT because of missing wheel nuts, of which you can see, I think there's 3 missing there. Yeah, so I'm just gonna reorder 20 or however many are required. Yeah, I forgot to mention this is a straight 6 BMW. It absolutely reeks of damp in here. Look at that dashboard. I thought that the car had been owned by a painter / decorator, but this is all mostly damp. Even the lining on the roof is just laden with damp. But anyway, we're going to try and start the engine, see what happens. So I'm just going to put the key in, turn it on. That is what's displaying on the dashboard. So definite power issues there. And oil. Now, if we check the battery, that to me does not appear to be the correct size battery. Typically a 2.5 or 3 litre BMW should have a longer sausage-like battery, even though it is Varta, so it's a good brand. But look at the state of the boot area, just filled with damp and dirt. So I've just purchased a new battery. We're going to swap this one out. Remember that to remove a battery, it's negative first, then positive, and when returning the battery you want to make sure it's positive first, then you add the negative. So I've just unscrewed the negative cable a little tip is to use some gloves, preferably plastic gloves, to cover the negative and positive cables. And there I've just covered the negative cable, and all you need is a 10mm socket. I'll just losing focus, and then this comes off, and then I'll just wrap that in a glove. So both the negative and positive cables have been wrapped in gloves. As you can see, this is a 60 amp battery. I believe it should be at least an 80 amp. So that is why this car is refusing to start. So on the left is the battery that was in the car, and on the right is the replacement battery that I've just purchased for, I think it was £80. It comes with a year warranty. It's far bigger, as you'd expect for a 3-litre car. We're just going to install this new battery. So modern batteries come with these plastic protectors, which are really useful to stop you from connecting the wrong polarity by mistake. To reconnect a battery, it's always positive first, so we'll remove that. And yeah, having the negative terminus still covered does really help. So that's a lovely new feature on these modern batteries. So that has started more or less straight away. Fantastic. So that is the dashboard. So yesterday I ended up stopping because the car wouldn't start. Early this morning my shed is in bits because we have just had a pretty strong storm Malik. Now in that shed was this jerry can that's been in that shed probably for 7 years, and to the right of it is some petrol that's effectively been stored in there for the best part of 7 years, and you can see it's a golden colour, so nothing you want running in your engine. So the first order of the day is to fill the tank with fresh fuel, and then we're just gonna whack some antifreeze and some oil. The car's definitely going to be serviced, but I just need it to at least have some lubrication while the car is prepared. So last night, this is how I left the car. It ran out of fuel. Obviously you can hear it's absolutely blustery and windy. So the car has been idling for about 10 minutes. I think I'm just gonna snip this. Don't really want that. Doesn't look particularly great. And yeah, this is the dashboard that's full of damp. It's not as bad as initially thought. I believe several iterations of cleaning over a few weeks should resolve the damp issue, and certainly when we get to the summertime I'll be leaving the windows open. As far as the controls are concerned, I don't believe all of them are working, so let's just give this a shot. So if I try, so that does work. So when I move this, that is controlling that mirror, down, up, left, right, so that's quite good. And if I flip this across, that should be the driver side. Yeah, up, down. So yeah, that is operational. Some of these other controls, that doesn't do anything. Neither does that or that. I believe these are the door controls, so they are all dead. Looking at the center console, we have a CD in there. Duffy, Rock Ferry. So let's rock to some Duffy. That doesn't appear operational unless there's an on switch. Usually the radio just works.
I did listen to you.
That's odd. So you're
Rock and roll.
Was from me.
Can't keep awake.
So the radio works. But I probably need to turn that off for copyright issues. But the control is completely pixelated. So you can see the control is completely pixelated. I'm not sure what the fix is, whether you can actually repair the radio or if it's going to need to be replaced. Some of the other controls, you can see the air conditioning and the window. I'll be testing that when I've got use of both hands. It's got PDC, parking distance control, dynamic traction control. In fact, it's got front and rear parking sensors. BMWs usually come with rear parking sensors as standard. This is front parking sensors. Neither are working when I engage the car. But yeah, the front parking sensors are a bonus, and the front headlights look to be the upgraded ones with headlamp washers. They look absolutely stunning, if I'm honest. And on the dashboard here, there's a light, I believe, on the driver's side rear that's an issue. We're nearly out of fuel. I've just put in about 10 litres of fuel. 133,000 miles. Temperature gauge is working okay. And yeah, I have just brought my launch C-Reader 529, my Obd2 scanner that I'm going to plug in, and hopefully this will show me any fault codes. Rightio, so we're trying to locate the Obd2 port. By all accounts, you know, you've got the steering wheel, and then to the right hand side by the key there's this little area here, and apparently to the top here, yeah, I've just found it, I think, yeah, that's it. So beneath there is the actual Obd2 port. There it is. So that's the door, and then yeah, you just plug it vertically upside down. So here's my right. I'm just gonna stop recording because obviously one of my hands is on this video and it's a bit awkward to try and fit this. And I've just gotten a little flashlight to see if that improves visibility. And there you are. That is where it slots in. So there, steering wheel. To the right you've got this boxed sort of area, and in there is the Obd2 port. Now it's firmly plugged in. Just show you the flashlight there, and you can see the actual launch C reader has activated. So yeah, we can now try and diagnose this BMW E39. Right, I've managed to place the C reader on my steering wheel. Typically you need the car on, not running, you just need it engaged. And I'm just going to hit diagnose and then enter. Usually it runs a lot quicker than this. Hopefully there's not too much bad news. And there it says, if tools Obd2 connector is connected to this vehicle, if ignition is on, verify that the vehicle is Obd2 compliant. So yeah, it doesn't appear to have registered. So let me make sure that the engine is on there. And then we're just going to go back. We're going to diagnose again. It's definitely saying that there's an oil service inspection required. So yeah, that appears to have run okay. Typically what I need to do is click OK on the Obd2 scanner and then go back into read codes, and this is where all the good news is. The vehicle's code is defined by the manufacturer. Please enter to select the manufacturer. Oh. So it's got a map cooling thermostat control circuit signal high, so 1620, and then there's something else on the next page. Cam shaft position center, a circuit bank 1 or single center. So I suspect these are the only two errors it's picked up on. So it is literally going to have to be one of those deal with these errors one by one. The first port of call is to just change the rear lights, because you can see that really on the steering wheel. There, it's pointing to a rear light, and then we're going to do an oil service. So change the oil filter, replace all the oil, change all the fluids in the car, brake fluid, power steering fluid, and then have a look at those sensor problems. I'm going to jump onto the internet and see if I need to replace the cam shaft sensor. It's one of those sensors that I've heard about quite frequently. I have no idea where it is, so hopefully that's something that I can attend to myself. So yeah, we are gonna start to try and resolve the issues on this BMW. So yeah, I think first things first, I'm just gonna top the car up with some oil, put some screen wash in there, and go and change that light and deal with the really obvious issues, like give the car a wash and vacuum clean. It's very windy right now. There's a storm apparently called Malik that's been thrashing the UK ever since Friday night. It's Saturday morning, so it's not fun being outside working on a car. So I'm just gonna deal with the issues that I can while this storm executes, and hopefully in the coming days we'll be able to start to address some of the mechanical faults. Right, so I'm just gonna add a litre of oil. I'm just going to add 2 litres. Some screen wash. plus shortly. Absolutely fantastic xenons. The one on the left is pretty good, but this looks quite faded and just needs some polish. Headlamp washers and front parking sensors that don't work. I've just had a cup of tea after reconnecting the battery onto the charger, and it is still charging, so this battery has lost charge overnight. It was fully charged last night, and after around 10 minutes it is still charging, so this battery is knackered. I've just turned the car on and you can hear the car wobbling right now, which would indicate that the coil packs probably need to be replaced. It is idling, but there's a slight wobble. The thermostat, however, does pick up temperature as you'd expect if you leave this running for 10 minutes. So it does appear operational but faulty. So I'll be looking to replace the thermostat. I've just had a look at a few websites like Euro Car Parts, but they have a plastic replacement. Some research has led me to discover that both the water pump and thermostat on the E39 have aluminium replacements that will last the lifetime of the car, rather than plastic replacements that are so we're going to remove the rear tail lights and just drop this panel, and there are the tail lights. I believe what you do is turn this clockwise or anti-clockwise and pull it out. So that is at the top. We'll leave that there at the top, and then here's the next one. That'll be left, and then middle, and then finally that one. So pretty straightforward to remove these tail lights. Just close that and place these to the right, and then I presume it's a carbon copy. This is the top one. And then actually, so that is the right, and then the middle and the far left. And looking at the condition, that looks pretty well worn, as is that one. We're just going to replace all of these, frankly. I believe the code is P21W, but I'm just going to take these to the auto repair shop and get some replacements. So I'm back with some parts from the auto shop. I have an air filter and an oil filter and some bulbs. Most important to do this procedure is to wear some gloves. This stops any of your marks being left on the bulb. They tend to burn quite brightly, so you always want to make sure that you're using some gloves to handle the light bulbs. So there we are. They were supplied loosely. I didn't have enough time to order some light bulbs. Basically it's a Sunday today, so quite limited in where you can get parts. I wanted to order some wipers. They were £42. If I order them on eBay, 23 quid, so it's going to be worth waiting a week or so really for some parts, that way I can source them in a far much more affordable manner. So all you need to do is to grab the light bulb, press it in and turn it anti-clockwise, and it pops out like that. Just leave that at the back, and then the exact opposite to return it. So in and then clockwise this time, and it's installed. Rinse and repeat for the next 6 or so bulbs. Clear bulb, and for the red bulbs it's exactly the same. Last one was a bit tight, but I'm pretty certain it's fastened correctly. Now we just need to reinstall the bulbs. So I forgot to mention that I purchased a spark plug socket wrench as well. Now to install the bulbs, you just need to pull the side panel. So yeah, there's this opener. Then just drop that. Now the trick here is to make sure, can you see there's this silver part there that's not on that side? It's to make sure that the bulb is 90 degrees, like so. Okay, helps if you've got it the correct way around. So yeah. So there's the bulb, there's the metal bit. Then what you're doing is you're just placing it at 90 degrees and then turning it towards you. Okay, so that was the middle one. And let's do the near side one again. Just 90 degrees, and then clip that in, and then the far side bulb, just make sure you've got it the right side. Okay, yeah, that is up, and then obviously in at 90 degrees, and then clip to the right. So all three of those bulbs, and finally just make sure we've got that lined up correctly into the top hole there at 90 degrees, and there you are. That's all of the bulbs on the right hand side of the car installed, and then just return that there. This should be less awkward. So does this need a weight to weigh it down? Okay. So depending on whether you're left-handed or right-handed will determine which side is easiest. So middle one. Sorry, it helps if you've got the bulb the correct way around. So yeah, and then right, so that's the middle one. Put the near side one 90 degrees. So I'll just put it on the offside compartment. It's 90 degrees, and then turn that right, and then this near side one again 90 degrees, and then turn right, and finally the indicator. Okay, which way around is it? It's that way around. So yeah, install that there, so 90 degrees, and then turn that right. So that is all 8 bulbs installed. And now we're gonna start the car again. And looks like we've still got that rear warning. I might need to clear that, clear all the codes, or make sure really on the internet that that does indicate one of the lights. Yeah, I expected that to clear the light, but obviously it's still present. But this is still preventative maintenance. I'm going to change all the bulbs anyway. You don't want them failing anytime soon. So yeah, we need to continue to investigate why the rear bulb light is still displaying after replacing all the bulbs. Okay, so we've got a proper engine management light that's on. It's Sunday today. I purchased the car on Friday, so this is the second day of me actually working on the car, or third actually. It arrived on Friday, got it up and running by changing the battery. Yesterday I did some analysis and we diagnosed the thermostat problem. Now I have my launch C reader plugged in, and we're going to see what this generates, because before it was stating that there was it required an oil service, but that has gone since I filled it up with oil. So are we going to get the same error code? Okay, so that's completed. Now we're going to read the codes, click OK, and then yeah, just pick BMW. Then misfire detected with low fuel. Okay, which I suspect because the car is wobbling a bit, which indicates an issue with the fuel injectors. I'm going to go get more fuel, because it's, how much fuel has it got at the moment? Nearly a quarter of a tank. but I'll just fill it with more fuel. There's probably gunge in there that's a problem. So anyway, misfire on cylinder 6. That's, and let's scroll through the errors. So the first issue is a misfire detected with low fuel. Second issue is cylinder 6 misfire. Third item is map cooling thermostat control circuit signal high, which is the error that I got yesterday. We've now got a camshaft position sensor A circuit, bank 1, or single sensor. I got that error message yesterday as well. So number 3 and number 4 are the 2 errors generated yesterday. We've got a misfire with low fuel, and again the 6th error is a misfire. So definitely need to change the spark plugs and probably all the ignition coils, and then look at changing the water pump and thermostat. So we're making a little bit more progress since filling the car up with some oil and coolant yesterday. When I turn the engine on, and use the left hand side indicator, that works as normal. When I use the right hand side, that is blinking twice as fast as the left hand side one. And as you've just seen, on the rear of the car, the light isn't working at all. So there's an issue with the light on the right hand side that isn't just the light bulb that needs to be investigated. So the quickest way to illustrate the faulty indicator is to turn the warning lights on there, and as you can see, just the left hand side indicator is activating, even though all these bulbs were changed yesterday. On the dashboard, both the lights are synchronous, but if you change to the indicator, then the one on the right is blinking at twice the rate the one on the left. So it turns out to be a loose bulb connection. I decided to swap the bulb on the right with the one on the left and vice versa, and the one on the right popped out. After reconnecting it, it started working immediately. So result, if you look at the dashboard, it is now blinking at the correct rate. None of the double blinking that you were seeing before. So I'm unable to open the boot, so I've had to remove one of the grills because the mechanism is refusing to open. So really what you want to do is, if you can see this latch, you need to do is to pull it towards you. It's a bit tough. Yeah, and then that should lift up. Let me just remove a couple of these items. Yeah, so a broken mechanism. As you can see there, I'm moving this up and down. It's meant to move this lever, but that doesn't work. So currently waiting on some parts. The first item to attend to is obviously the engine. We don't want that to deteriorate any further. So I have a new thermostat, a new water pump, some new spark plugs, some oil, some coolant, and in front of you we've got an air filter, an oil filter. I'll probably be changing the fuel filter as well. But for the moment, what I'd like to be getting on with is giving the car a clean. As you can see, there's like loads of Rizzlers and just muck in the car. Unfortunately, none of these controls are working, so central locking function appears to no longer work. Just about to give the car its first wash. It really needs a jet wash, but it doesn't have an MOT at the moment, so it's just going to be what I can do here. You can see loads of moss and gunge accumulating in the window ridges, but I should be able to get it to look a little bit better, but it really does need a deep wash to get into all these nooks and crannies, to get rid of all the deeply seated gunge. Right, so we've just had our first wash. I will wash it a few more times, hopefully to bring it up. One of the factors that drew me to this car was it didn't look to have too many rust issues, but I have noticed a few items. I wonder if you can see that there. So this is the boot. There's these little flecks of rust really on the rear boot. Yeah, there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they will need to be dealt with. On the side, not too much of a horror story. On the boot, sorry, the bonnet, yeah, again, just a few kind of chips there. They're starting to rust, and this is really some of the worst bodywork. There's a huge scratch there, shouldn't be too difficult to fix. And there's another dink there, typically a car parking issue. Somebody touched your car when they're reversing in or out. Yeah, that seems to be the bulk of the visible rust. So I'm hoping we don't have a nightmare beneath the car. But yeah, what a handsome looking thing, really. If you're enjoying the content on this channel, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm.